Hello my fellow weirdos, it's me, Marie McWilliams. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a little bit more somber and serious than usual. Today I'm doing a quarantine book list for you guys who are stuck inside during this difficult time. Hey guys, as I said, today's video is a little bit more serious than usual. We'll have all seen the news and we know what's going on. We are in the middle of a global pandemic and everything is pretty scary right now. I know my anxiety is through the roof at the moment. So all we can really do is be sensible. That means not panic buying and not going out if we have symptoms, by the way. And look after each other and stay safe. And if you have any vulnerable elderly people who live near you who don't have family, please don't forget about them either, because this is going to be trying times for all of us and we need to kind of stick with each other. With that in mind, I wanted to do something to try to help, and obviously I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical professional, I'm a book blogger. There's not an awful lot that I can do, but I thought that I could create a list of books that are really cheap on Kindle right now. Books that are something for me that are really important during difficult times. It's a way for me to take my mind off stuff, to visit other places, especially important when you're stuck inside. It's a distraction, and it's just a big part of me that even when I'm not well or when I'm going through a difficult time, I find it's important to kind of maintain that. I feel like I lose a little bit of myself if I don't keep reading. So for all my fellow book nerds out there who are kind of like that, I thought I'd put this list together. So if we're stuck in quarantine, at least we have a list of books that we can read that can kind of take our mind off the situation, even just for a little while. And you know, it's a whole bunch of books, new books, which is never a bad thing, but I've deliberately looked for books which are particularly cheap on Kindle, because I know that obviously at this time it's going to be particularly difficult from an economic standpoint for a lot of people, especially those who are self-employed. And the more books that you can get, the better. So I've went for kind of cheap and cheerful. As always, they're going to be kind of dark horror, crime, because that's my jam. But yeah, this is my quarantine book list, guys. So if you have any books on offer or that you know of that are cheap or anything like that, please put them down in the comments down below. Share the links so we can all kind of share the love and we can all have some kind of entertainment or alleviation from the stress and anxiety during this difficult time. I mean, if we're going to be stuck inside, we might as well at least use the time doing something that we love, like reading wonderful books. So first up, I was inspired by a lot of other authors out there who have made their books available for free in light of what's happening, and I've done the same. So my novel, Broken Mirrors, and I'll put it here, is available for free from Wednesday the 18th right through to Sunday the 21st for everybody out there. So if you're stuck in quarantine, this is a free book. Might as well grab it. It is a very dark, very violent crime thriller, so triggers there for violence and sexual violence, but it's about a young woman from Belfast who moves to London and meets seemingly the perfect man. He's handsome, he's rich, he's charming, he's everything you would want, except he's also harboring a dark secret because he's a criminal. And not just a criminal, like the boss of all the criminals, and a murderer. And she has to make the decision on whether she's going to stay with him, knowing what he's like because she loves him, or because obviously she doesn't want to be complicit in what he's doing, leave. And that decision and all the horrible things that happen when she decides that she's going to stay. So that's my book. So yeah, that's available Wednesday to Sunday this week, 18th to 21st. If you want to grab a copy for free, let me know if you did. I'd be honored to see if you guys like it or not. Okay, so what I have done, as I said, I've gone through the Kindle app and I've searched for horror, and then I've you can choose to like narrow your searches down based on price and stuff like that. So I've kind of put mine specifically looking for the slightly cheaper options. So first up, I wanted to talk about a publishing house called Deathbed Press. They actually just came to my attention recently because they did make their books available for a couple of days there for free for people in quarantine, and I went on and downloaded a bunch of their books, had a look around their site. Unfortunately, I wasn't quick enough to get this video up for the links on their books to still be free, but they're all coming in at around £2.43 in UK, so you know, a couple of bucks for a Kindle book, so they are relatively cheap. So the ones that I grabbed myself is one called Reception by Kenzie Jennings. It's about a girl who comes out of rehab to be bridesmaid at her sister's wedding, and it turns out that the in-laws are cannibals, and it's whether they're going to survive the reception or not. Really like the sound of that. Then we have Catfish in the Cradle by Wile.E.Young, about a gentleman whose strange daughter comes back and dies in childbirth and leaves a young boy with him, and he decides he wants to raise the boy for himself. It's all set down in the south of America, in the swamps sort of regions, and there are occult powers at work. The swamp wants the boy back. There's something special about him, and he has to decide whether blood's thicker than water or whether he's going to give the kid up. Then Sinkhole by John Wayne Comunale. This is about a family who have a sinkhole open in the back garden, and then a bunch of creatures crawl out who haven't eaten in like 50 years. Really like the sound of that one. And finally, I've got Notches by M.Ennenbach, which is a collection of short stories. I personally know that when I'm not well, or when I'm stressed, I can sometimes have not the best ability to concentrate on a long-winded storyline or anything particularly complex, so I would tend to gravitate towards more fluffier, kind of easier to read books. Short stories is a really great way to kind of keep your toe in the, dip your toe in the water, keep your eye on all things that you love, book-wise, horror, whatever genre, but it's not too taxing on the mind, so I have included a few collections in here. So those are all Deathbed Press. I will put a link to their site down below so you can check them out as well, and I'll put a link to all the books that I mentioned here today. All of those are £2.43 on Kindle, so really cheap. Okay, next we have Husk by Rachel Autumn Deering. This is actually free on Kindle. It is about a gentleman who has come back from the war, suffering from severe PTSD, moved back to his small rural town, and there's something there that is waiting for him, that wants to prey on him. I like the sound of that. Then I discovered that the complete fiction of H.P. Lovecraft is actually available right now on Kindle, and it is only 99p. If you've never read any of the Lovecraft stories, I cannot recommend them enough. I'm a massive fan of old school horror, and he is the king of old school horror. So find out finally who Cthulhu is and read through all those stories for 99p. You might as well. Then we have The Lingering by S.J.I. Holiday. That is 99p on Kindle at the minute, so super cheap. And it is like a psychological thriller come haunted house story set in a Victorian house that a family move into. So I like the sound of that. Anything with a haunted house, basically, and I'm completely sold. Next, we have Out Behind the Barn by Chad Lutzk and John Bowden. The synopsis for this is just too amazing. I'm going to read it to you. The boys crept to the window and watched as Miss Maggie carried the long bundle into the barn, the weight of it stooping her aging back. Rafter lights spilled from the barn doors, and Davy saw an arm fall from the canvas-wrapped parcel. He smiled. She got someone. Both children grinned and settled in their beds, eyes fixed to the ceiling. This was family growth. That's it. I don't know about you, but I'm completely sold. Next up we have Dracula the Undead by Dacra Stoker. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I usually can't pronounce names right, so it's probably wrong. This is the official sequel to Dracula, based on Bram Stoker's original note and written by his direct descendant. It's only £1.88 on Kindle at the minute, and I'm reading, I just read Dracula there in January for the Gothic Horror read-along I'm running on my Instagram. Head to my page, the link's down below if you want to check it out. I've also done a video about it, but basically each month we're reading a piece of classic Gothic fiction, so this is a good one to have if you're taking part in that. Then we have The Whisper Man, which is by Alex North, which is about a serial killer. It's if you leave a door half open, soon you'll hear the whisper spoken. I like that. Still devastated after the loss of his wife, Tom, and his son, Jake, moved to a sleepy village. It has a dark past. 15 years ago, a twisted serial killer abducted and murdered 5 young boys. The killer was known as the Whisper Man, and of course an old crime need not trouble them, except another boy has gone missing, and then Jake begins to act strangely. The Whisper Man is $2.99 on Kindle, so again, super cheap. Then we have The Narrows by James Brogden. This is only £2.39 on Kindle. And it says, there are places where the skin of the world is thin, and here miracles walk the streets and nightmares haunt the alleyways. So I like the sound of that. It's about people who are homeless and live in the street, and wanderers living in like kind of this little world amongst worlds, these alleyways and narrows that people don't know exists. Then we have My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. This is only £1.84 on Kindle, so again, cheap as chips. Literally, actually, it's cheaper than chips. I just read Grady Hendrix's most recent book, which is the Southern Book Club Guide to Slaying Vampires, and I loved it. So I'm very keen to read this one. This is set in the 80s, about an exorcism, funnily enough. Then we have Dear Laura, which is £2.31 on Kindle. And this says that every year on her birthday, Laura gets a letter from a stranger who claims to know the whereabouts of her missing friend. But there's a catch. He'll only tell her when he knows in exchange for something personal. So this is the sort of relationship between her and this creepy pen pal. Sounds interesting. Then we have Starve Acre, which is by Andrew Michael Hurley. That one is 99p on Kindle. Again, cheap. This is about a couple whose young son dies, worst of the worst. She's convinced he's still alive somehow and ends up kind of joining with these seemingly benevolent group of cultists. He wants to take his mind off the death of his son and ends up digging for a legendary oak in the field behind their house. And it's about how grief tears us apart and how we all deal with it differently. We have The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay. That's £2.59 on Kindle. So again, all these are under £3, so they're only a couple of quid each. This one is obviously about somebody vacationing in a remote cabin, because where else would you vacation? And some people show up saying that they've got a lot of menacing objects, it says, which sounds like weapons, and the cover would imply that they are weapons. And they are, it says they're there to save the world, and what they're doing isn't anybody's fault, but they have to do it. So it's about the apocalypse, violence. Yeah, sounds good. Finally, Paul Michael Anderson has a collection of short stories called Bones Are Made to Be Broken. As of at the moment, it is currently still free on Kindle. So that is again a free book, so might as well download it. And short stories, as I said, are a great way to kind of keep yourself going at a time where you maybe can't concentrate on like something bigger. So that's it, guys. That is literally just a list of books I went through, and my only criteria was that it was something that I would like the sound of, basically, so horror and crime and dark and creepy, and that it was under £3, because I get that our budgets are going to be kind of stretched at the minute. So I will put the links for all the books down below, including my own, which is free from Wednesday to Sunday, 18th to the 21st of March. And please download it, download some of the others, let me know if you do and what you think, and if you have links to any books that you know, or even your own books, if you're an indie author, which are free or under £3, because everybody's going to be strapped a bit at the minute. Please put it in the comments down below and share that love, because right now we all need to stick together and we all need to look out for each other, and this is one of the only ways I know how, and now more than ever, our connections online through the booktube community and the bookstagram community and the horror community online, it's going to be more important than ever, because we're not going to necessarily be able to go out and socialize and do the things that we would normally do. So this community is going to become more important than ever to all of us. So please get in touch. Let's connect and let's get each other through what is a really scary time. And that's me for now, guys. Whatever is going on where you live, please stay safe, and I will see you soon.